Gobble, gobble, motherfuckers. Damn, was that too harsh? It's Thanksgiving time, guys. I'm the Unofficial Commentators, and we have a lot to talk about this week. So let's get right into it.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Jay already said it. We got a great episode today. The Unofficial Commentators, hosted by Mr. JJ Nueve and yours truly, Mr. Packy. Remember, guys, Podomatic.com is where we have our podcast coming up every Thursday morning. On YouTube, Unofficial Commentators. Don't forget to email or comment, unofficialcommentators@gmail.com. You can comment on any of our videos or our podcast uploads. And, of course, please subscribe to our channel. Everybody does it on YouTube, right? So we might as well do it ourselves, right?
So week after week, I see that we get more subscribers and more interest in the show, which is good. We see a lot more views, and people comment to us personally. Let's get some conversations going, man. I mean, it's good for us to kind of ignite the topic, but let's talk about what people are interested in, what you said on the show. Where was I wrong? Where was I right? What was said that was so outrageous? But comment, man. Use that comment section. It's for something. All of you have Google accounts. I know this for certain.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube puts the comments in there for something, right? Might as well use them.
Yes, sir. Now, Packy, what are you looking forward to this week?
I'm looking forward to, I can't believe I'm going to say this, Thursday football, only because it's Thanksgiving. Because Thursday football has sucked all year, but I believe tomorrow there's going to be at least one good game, and it's like an American tradition, football and Thanksgiving. Unfortunately for myself, I am in the Dominican Republic, brought to you from my living room studios. And they don't celebrate Thanksgiving here in the Dominican Republic, so all I have is the football. So I'm very excited about the games tomorrow. I believe the Dallas and Washington game is going to be a great game. It's not that I am a Dallas Cowboy hater, but I am still waiting for that game that they're going to lose. Because, I mean, are they seriously going to go 15-1?
They already lost one, and they lost to my New York Giants.
I know, but are they seriously going to go 15-1? Amazing.
No, because they play the Giants again, so they'll go 14-2.
Interesting.
The NFC Beast representing, man. So last week, Giants won, Dallas won, the Redskins won, and the only loser there was Philadelphia, but they had a tough matchup. They played well for the most part. Mm-hmm. And I hear that you're making a strong case for the AFC West. Is that the league that's headed up by your Raiders?
I mean, it's not because I'm a Raider fan, right? I mean, there's a huge controversy right now. Which one is the better division in football based on the standings? You have the AFC West, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Chiefs, and the Chargers, versus the NFC East, where you have the Cowboys, the Giants.
More respect to NFC Beast.
Oh, come on, man. The NFC East, yeast.
I mean, nothing rhymes with West.
The NFC yeast infection.
AFC less? How about that one?
That's lame. I'm sorry, that's weak. All right, so we got an AFC weak would have been better, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, you got the Redskins, the Giants. And you have the Eagles. So it is a very interesting topic. Both divisions, as of right now, have 3 teams in the playoffs if the season ended today. And they both have the number 1 seed. I cannot believe my Raiders are the number 1 seeded team in the AFC as of week 12. That's amazing to me. As a Raider fan, I feel like I'm in a dream right now. And when I say that, I mean it like it's surreal because I'm just used to not looking forward to the playoffs. I totally forgot about what it is to feel like actually looking forward to the playoffs. So it's very interesting. But I do believe the AFC West teams are better than the NFC East teams overall, and I think they're more proven. So that's pretty much the main reason why I think the AFC West is better. It's not just the fact that they're all going to the playoffs.
Well, I'm looking forward to food. There will be a lot of that. Spending a good time with good quality people. And, of course, football. The thing about Thursday football is it's not the usual conglomerate of games all happening at once, but you get one primetime game after another.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it's broken down this week, we have the Vikings in the line starting off at 12:30, just slightly earlier than the regular 1 o'clock kickoff. And we have the Redskins and Cowboys soon following that one. This is obviously currently the Cowboys division, but the Redskins are playing really well, as evidenced by last week's game against Green Bay. But there's a lot of football to talk. We'll talk about that later. And then after you have all your dinners and eat all your foods and you're looking for something to put you to sleep, then we have the Steelers and the Colts, which on paper probably sounded like a shootout when they made the schedule. But rumor has it, not rumor has it, it's been confirmed that Andrew Luck will not play on Thursday night. So make of that what you will. What else has been going on in the world of sports packet that you're interested in?
Well, before we get into anything deeper, I just got a notification before we started recording that Kevin Love hit 34 points in the first quarter. That's impressive. And the main reason why I wanted to mention that is because everybody keeps talking about the Golden State Warriors this season as the finals favorite. Everybody keeps saying they're going to struggle with bigs. Everybody's now talking about the Clippers that keep impressing. But nobody talks about the Cavs. Like, I don't even understand. I was looking at the Vegas odds, and actually the Cavs are the third team in odds after Golden State and I believe San Antonio to win the finals, and they're giving you plus 300 for that. And it's amazing that your third option on a hot night can go 34 points in the first quarter, 8 3-pointers, and most of it, I have to give credits to my boy LeBron James, is because of some great assists from LeBron James. I was seeing briefly the game, saw some highlights of those shots. I believe Cleveland is the team that nobody is talking about, and they're the champions, that actually has the best chance to win the championship this year.
Well, that's your opinion. Honestly, they seem like a pretty complete team. They brought most of their roster back, and they are the defending champions, so you got to respect them for that. And Kevin Love hitting three-pointers and rebounding, this is the Kevin Love that you ultimately traded Andrew Wiggins for. So if you're starting to get that production back, be careful. Watch out for Cleveland. We all knew that they were going to run away with the East, but they can be a serious contender when it comes finals time.
Yeah, and it's important because they have such good chemistry, and chemistry is so important right now. I know I said important twice. I'm sorry. Because we got all this in-team beef going on. I believe it was yesterday the Lakers hit a game winner thanks to Nick Young. Oladipo went off in the press conference on Russell Westbrook for his lack of defense on that play.
I know your place, Oladipo. Get the hell out of here with that nonsense.
But he was actually right. I looked over the play, and Russell Westbrook had pretty much the best seat in Staples Arena for that play.
No, it was not right.
Get
the hell out of here with that garbage.
Obviously, Westbrook's offense is the reason why they were in the game.
If they were in any position to win,
yeah, it was because of Westbrook.
If they were in any position to even maintain themselves in any kind of competitive spirits in that game, it was because of Russell Westbrook.
But in no moment did Oladipo or myself say that the loss was because of Westbrook. But you have all the rights as a player to criticize your teammate for not defending. I mean, defense is effort. If you're not putting in the effort, especially in the last couple of seconds, it's not going to work, man. That's not how you win in the NBA. And we got Russell.
Who hit the game winner, Baggy?
It was Nick Young.
Okay, I wouldn't defend him either. I'm not even going to break my sweat.
I mean, Russell Westbrook just let him go. I mean, I know Nick Young kind of stole the ball from his own teammates and took the shot. I'm sure Luke Walton was pretty upset, even though he got it after the game. I know he had to say something, but I mean, Russell Westbrook just stood there.
I'll tell you exactly what Luke Walton said. No, yes, just how he drew it up.
Thank God he got it in. And you got this Bradley, you also got this Bradley Beal and John Wall type beef that's building up in the East. You got these Klay Thompson rumors that he's not that happy and he might get traded. And we obviously remember the Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook beef, which turned out into Kevin Durant leaving. So it's very important that Cleveland actually has that, that chemistry. From the beginning of the season going in, Kyrie Irving was rumored to have like a lot of beef with LeBron last year. And right now, they couldn't look any happier. So, yeah, man, I like that.
Winning fixes everything.
That's right.
He could have had all the beef in the world, but right now, Kyrie Irving doesn't have a ring. Interestingly enough, I heard that he gives all of his accomplishments to his dad, but that's not the point here. His dad walks around with a ring, in large part because of LeBron's contributions to that team.
Nice.
But I understand that you are a supporter of LeBron James, as am I. I admire his greatness. Not like other people who are supposedly great and I'm not really a fan of. But with that being said, you do sound a lot like a Cleveland Cavalier fan, man. What's going on with your team? Tell me more about the Knicks. Give me a Knicks minute. We should start making this like a segment in every show. Your Knicks minute.
The Knicks minute. Well, they're at 500. Last week you asked for that, the 500 Knicks.
Yes.
They've won a couple of good games, and I believe it's mostly – I don't want to say – I mean, obviously, Jeff Hornacek probably did not listen to this podcast. I'm almost positive he didn't listen to it. I'm sure he will someday, but not last week's episode. And Porzingis is clearly the reason why the Knicks are winning, man, these last couple of games. He went off in their last game versus Portland, 31 points, I believe it was. As a matter of fact, Knicks fans now are starting to boo Carmelo because he's not passing it to Zingis. So it's very interesting to see how the Knicks move forward from here because Melo and Derrick Rose have a very destructive type of basketball game where they can start shooting ISOs and forgetting about the important thing, which is winning. But right now they're looking good with Porzingis. Their defense is still kind of suspect. They've had a couple of favorable matchups. They've played at home. Let's hope they continue this. But right now, if anything, at their best, all the Knicks are looking like right now is exactly what they are right now, a 500 team.
Well, Porzingis, all he did was go and praise the contributions of Carmelo Anthony and Derrick Rose, saying that they're attacking the basket and create opportunities for him to either shoot, open looks and attack the basket. So it feels kind of like it's people like us who like to comment or look for narratives and story that are talking about this, how Derrick Rose and Carmelo affect Porzingis. He seems pretty happy with the team he has. Speaking of Derrick Rose and Carmelo, though, funny story came up. And speaking of Thanksgiving, so Derrick Rose says he auto-invited himself to Carmelo's house for Thanksgiving, which if it wasn't bad enough, he says, and I'm not bringing anything but my appetite. I mean, the balls of this guy, man.
I mean,
what's he expected to do? Just roll up, knock on his door,
I'll tell you this.
What bus does he take to Carmelo's house?
I believe Carmelo lives in the east side in Central Park, the eastern part of Central Park.
You're actually going to tell me what bus he's going to take?
But
it was rhetorical. We can Google it later.
I've never been a Derrick Rose fan. I kind of didn't like him when he was in Chicago, but I gotta
didn't like him as an understatement.
I gotta give credit to Derrick Rose this season, not for what he's done on the basketball court, but what he has said in the mics. I mean, that wet newspaper comment, and now this. I mean he went
from being known as the humble mumbler
that never
to
talked.
The guy with. No, he was a humble mumbler. Now he's the guy with all the hot takes. I love it. And by the way, Carmelo said he better bring some damn pie or something. Better not show up at my house with nothing. Shit.
They're just mocking New York media right now. That's what they're doing. That's pretty much what they're doing. In all seriousness.
So you being at 500 gives you the right to troll?
I think they were going to troll anyways because, I mean, there's a lot of people talking nonsense, so they're starting to talk nonsense themselves. I think that's what they're doing. I think they're doing it on purpose. I would love to see Porzingis get involved in this, though. That'd be funny.
Yeah, I want to see Porzingis, just come out of nowhere and say, grab him by the posse.
That'd be interesting.
Wouldn't it now? A team that I thought would be better was the Pelicans, man. What's going on with them? Like, it looks like they're kind of turning it around now with Drew Holiday being back. But was he the piece that was missing?
I mean, it's hard to say, but this team has had an eternal issue with their defense. I mean, anybody can go over 100 points on the Pelicans, and I don't see their defense having improved that much either. But they are winning with Drew Holiday. They're looking a little bit better. Fantasy-wise, I loved what this kid was doing. I even picked him up in fantasy. What's his name? Frazier. An assist machine, but they simply were just not winning with him. Now they're a little bit better with Drew Holiday. But the main problem for this team is the defense. Let me look up the exact stats for this team right now. Hold on. I'm looking them up right now to give you their defensive stats. They look really good versus Atlanta.
Yeah, while you do that, it's curious. You mentioned fantasy. So we don't just play fantasy football or even talk about it. We also talk about fantasy basketball. We also play fantasy basketball. So I actually had a pretty interesting concept this year where my longtime basketball or fantasy basketball league kind of picked its all-stars to play against these other all-stars. That was kind of a jip. If the Maximus All-Stars are listening, you guys need to get your shit together. You're 0-4 right now. It hasn't even been close, unless you count 4-3 close. But it's 0-4. Like, come on, get one on us at least. I forgot to set my lineups today, so maybe if it comes down to my matchup, you may win. Doubt it. But yeah, just wanted to put that out there. So our team is playing against the All-Stars for Maximus. We got a winner-take-all pot, but also the winning team, or the winning All-Star team, gets kind of a pot as well. I can explain the format more, or maybe just like write it down in comments if people are really interested in knowing about it. But for those keeping score at home, Team League of Haters, or Greedy Owners, actually, Team Greedy Owners, is 4-0.
That's right. I can't believe we're on the same team for this one. The Pelicans have allowed over 100 points in 11 of their 15 games. So that pretty much tells you what the main problem is. And the main scorer on that team, and probably the only real scoring threat, is Anthony Davis. So, now with Drew Holiday, it gives him a little bit more flexibility on offense, I believe. But Trevor Frazier was the guy that I was talking about. But that's the problem, man.
I don't watch a lot of sorry, go ahead.
No. That was pretty much it. That's the problem, man. Lack of defense, and they're on one-trick pony, man.
So I don't watch a lot of college sports, but I saw a couple of highlights from Buddy Hield. I thought he was going to be kind of a difference maker on that team. I figured that given the fact that last year it wasn't really the Pelicans that were bad. It was more of the fact that Anthony Davis was kind of injured. They kind of fell in a favorable spot to pick Buddy Hield in the draft. I'm saying, man, a shooting guard in that offense with Anthony Davis is going to be great. But he hasn't really worked out, at least not yet, the way that I expected. I thought he was going to be like instant impact on the court.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's hard for you to be an instant impact on the court as an NBA rookie. I mean, not everybody does that. People forget how rare it is. I mean, when you go to the NBA draft, unlike the NFL draft, you got probably the first 3 picks, and between the 3rd and the 4th pick, there's such a huge drop-off in talent. So even though you can help your team, it's kind of like a work in progress. The season is still very early for us to judge Buddy Hield. I mean, it's only 15 games in. He could still become an impact later on, but it is very hard for rookies to get into the NBA and be an immediate impact.
Well, he was 6th pick overall, and I knew that he was limited on defense, but offensively, I thought he would bring it. And honestly, to this point, not so much. I also want to talk about the worst team in the NBA right now. And surprise, surprise, it is not the Philadelphia 76ers. If we go by records, the worst team right now is actually the Dallas Mavericks. What's going on with Dallas, man?
Well, their superstar is Harrison Barnes. That's where they went with the money. And, I mean, Harrison Barnes has had a very good season overall, but Dirk is old. They got also Andrew Bogut. They're trying to be like the cheap. They're pretty much a team using what Golden State discarded. I mean, Andrew Bogut and Harrison Barnes. Deron Williams is suffering through injuries. They lost J.J. Barea. Dirk is old and also hurt. So It's just a lot of bad luck that they've gone through. And Harrison Barnes has also missed a couple of games. I mean, he's good now, but he has also missed a couple of games. So it's just a bunch of bad luck. And by the way, so they got Andrew Bogut, they get Harrison Barnes, and they get Steph Curry's brother. So they're literally trying to be like a cheap version of the
consider that? Would you consider that Harrison Barnes is leading the Dallas Mavericks? Like, okay, I understand they're not winning, but is he now their leader?
Well, statistically, yeah. But I believe that, I mean, I'm not sure who the team captain is for the Dallas Mavericks, but I'm pretty sure it's probably Dirk. I know it'll continue to be Dirk.
That's not really something that's stressed that much. That team captain is more of a hockey, maybe football thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't mean it like he has a C on his uniform. I mean it as the leader of the bunch, because last season the leader for Minnesota was Kevin Garnett, and he played like 5 minutes a game. So it doesn't really matter what you do on the court when you're a leader. I still believe probably Dirk is the leader of that team. I mean, Dirk knows how to win championships. But Harrison Barnes is the statistical leader, so...
Wait, what?
Yeah,
he knows how to win championships.
Well, Dirk has won a championship and went to finals before, so...
He's won a championship.
Wait,
yes,
it's funny you say... All right, it's funny you say that. The LeBrons and the Kobes and the Jordans have us all messed up. People don't understand how hard it is to win an NBA champion. Just one.
Oh, no. I know.
One is worth a lot.
I think we talked about this. What is it? It's 30 NBA teams and 8 different franchises have won championships.
Yeah, and
they kind of just rewind and going back. Was it 8? I don't know.
Yeah,
it was
not easy.
a low number compared to 30.
It's not easy. So that one championship he's had is worth more than a lot of people in the NBA that's not LeBron and Wade. And maybe Gasol.
Fine, no problem. I'll give you that. But he knows how to win championships. First of all, what the hell does he know? He's won one. And second of all, championships, plural. Like, if he knows how to win championships, why isn't he winning more?
Okay, maybe I meant to say he knows how to win a championship then. Is that better? Maybe it was a grammar mistake on my part.
How about he's been there before? I'll take that one.
Exactly, but you know what I mean. I mean,
I think he's been there before.
He's been to the finals before. He's been through the ups and downs of the NBA. He's won a ring. Being the underdog, he knows what it takes for a team to, be cohesive together. He knows what it takes for all the sacrifice you got to do in a season to actually win a championship. So he has to be the leader on that team no matter what. But I want to see some young talent in Dallas being built. I'm not seeing much of it.
There's a lot of money to be spent there and not a whole lot of talent to be bought in the NBA. Now, I was wondering if you were going to say that Harrison Barnes was a leader, because it seems like he's, quote-unquote, the most talented player on that team, even though I never really believed in Harrison Barnes' talent. But this is a conversation we have often. Like, let's say it wasn't Harrison Barnes. It would have been Klay Thompson. You think he could have led that team to anything different?
I don't see Klay Thompson as a leader either. Same thing. He would have been a statistical leader. I mean, he leads the teams in stats. But like a leader of men, I don't see Klay Thompson being that. And I don't see yet Harrison Barnes seeing that. I did see a comment, though. Harrison Barnes says that he's trying to mold his game after Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce was an excellent leader. So if that's his role model, that's a great role model to go after.
Okay.
Except for the stabbings. But besides that, on court, it's all good.
You should have let those stabs away from him.
Yeah, but
have you seen Joel Embiid play?
The Rookie of the Year, man. It's crazy how good he looks. His footwork is amazing. I know this is technically his 3rd year in the NBA, although he still counts for the Rookie of the Year. But the experience that he built over these couple of years is very impressive, because you can see it on film. I love the way he's playing. He's clearly made Philadelphia a lot better, even though they haven't won probably as much as they would like. They started like 0-8, but he's made Philadelphia competitive. And right now, for me, he's a clear number 1 Rookie of the Year, and I am extremely impressed. And I was extremely proved wrong, because I know there was a lot of reports coming out that Joel Embiid was having weight issues when he was injured. There was issues with the food he was ordering in the hotels. all that stuff is character issues that you do not want to see from your first overall pick that hasn't played a game yet. I was like, oh my God, this is Greg Oden all over again. He got re-injured a foot that was rotting after the surgery, but he looks good now, man. Yeah, man, it was horrible, but he looks great now, and it's impressive how much
comparisons.
Yeah, I was about to say.
The comparisons with Olajuwon are fair?
I think they're fair. I don't think he's Olajuwon, of course not, but it is a fair comparison.
To be seen, but
yeah. Well, Olajuwon came in as a rookie, and let's not forget Olajuwon was the first overall pick in the Jordan draft. And Olajuwon obviously has probably a higher ceiling, but the comparison is very fair.
Cool. All right, man. Wow, we talked a lot of basketball there. You ready for some football?
I loved it, man. Yeah, I love everything, man. Let's go with some football. We got to get into that fantasy league. By the way, we are closing in on fantasy league, fellas. We are almost done. This is week 12. Week 13 is the end of the regular season. We go into the playoffs. Most fantasy leagues work that way. Some of them will play until week 14, ended in 15 and 16. But since we have 14 players on our league, we ended at 13 to make it a 3-week playoff. So we're almost there, Jay. We're in the final stretch, bro.
As some would say, we're coming down to the nitty-gritty.
That's right.
All right, so this week's leading scorer was So Loyal Action Boss. After I picked him to lose, he came through with 138.2 fantasy points. Low score was 87.3 fantasy points. No one that has the lowest score of the week is ever going to win. That was Hyde the Blunt. I actually picked him to win against my better judgment.
My rival is a joke.
Blowout of the week.
The only thing he did well was beat me. And that's not much to say because everybody has beat me.
Well, if we look at the standings right now,
I'm over him.
You're actually above him. That's right.
I was going to say that later.
Blowout of the week was Amari 2600 beating precisely Hyde the Blunt. It didn't look like by that many points, but in the end, he won by 44.7 fantasy points. The narrowest win went to Witten is coming. It's he beat the Real City Butterflies by 2.2 fantasy points. The Lucky Award. Now, this is an interesting Lucky Award because this wasn't a low score. 111 points. The EMCC Brawlers would have lost to 8 other teams. Nonetheless, they get a win this week. There wasn't a winning team that scored less than 100 points.
Nice.
Top performer this week was I Want to Pee on You, R. Kelly. Robert Kelly had 34 carries, 137 yards, 3 touchdowns, the total 31.7 fantasy points, and that just barely edges David Johnson, who scored 31.5 fantasy points. So David Johnson is getting that golden shower this week.
It's amazing that I have David Johnson and I'm only 4-7. I mean, how horrible of a manager must I be? Jesus Christ.
Do you forget that for the first 7 weeks, maybe 8, you lost a player that was actively starting on your roster every week?
Yeah, every week. For the first 6 weeks, I believe. Yeah.
It's kind of hard to win that way.
It is.
In terms of our pick'em, I started the week down by 1. I had 24 correct picks. Packy had 25. We were off by a lot this week. I only had 1 correct pick. Man, that brings my total to 25. I was already losing. I kind of went out on the ledge. I was thinking like, man, this one is close enough where I could kind of risk it. Packy picked the other one, so maybe I can kind of get an advantage here. It was for naught. 1 correct pick. I picked. I'm currently at 25. Packy started at 25. He added 3 picks this week. I don't know what the hell you're celebrating. You're still under 500 for the picks this week.
I got 3 over you. I'm on top of you.
28. Whoa. Can we get producer? Can we get a pause? Pause on Packy for that one. So the pick'em is currently 28 to 25. I got to get on a roll right now because I got this week and next to make it up. Otherwise, I'm buying you some chicken nuggets.
Fucking nuggets.
Yeah, he didn't say no. It's on video, so that's what he's getting, nuggets.
I clearly remember saying no. I prefer the fajita, but fine. It's fine.
Let's see. If you behave. So, talk about the recaps for last week. So, let's just jump right into it, man. What happened last week? So, the first game we're going to talk about from last week was the result of Victor's team playing against that old team. They like the troll, so I don't even remember what the hell they were called last week. Victor took this one, 126 points to 103 points. Tell me why Victor was victorious.
What was his name last week? What? Hold on, I think I have it here. It was Connor Bless. I actually picked him over Darryl because of that name, Connor Bless. Huge Conor McGregor fan. But if you want to know why Victor was victorious, I mean, if you look at his team, his lowest scorer from his offense had 8 points, and that was his tight end with 8.2 points. He didn't have anybody in the 20s, but mostly everybody was in the double digits. So overall, he got some 126 points. And adding to that, of course, Darryl had a very low scoring week compared to everybody else with 103 points. He had a 0 for Marcus Peters, Golden Tate a 0.6, Darren Sproles a 2.6. By the way, is it even worth starting a Philadelphia running back right now? This is like Bill Belichick running back tricks all over again. Nobody knows. I mean, I know he got hurt, but nobody knows who is going to get the bulk of the carries on that team.
Yes and no. I'm more disappointed by Golden Tate's effort. I mean, he was out there. He was a hero not too long ago, that game they played against Minnesota. But Darren Sproles, you had no indication that he was going to only, give you 2.6 fantasy points and get hurt. I mean, had he not gotten injured, he probably would have scored more points that game. He looked like he was going to be the lead back until he got injured. Victor finally decided to start 3 defensive players, and the third one, I don't know if that, the order has anything to do with it. His third defensive player came through with 15.5 fantasy points. It's an Oakland Raider linebacker, Malcolm Smith. I don't believe that was on your team before. And this was probably just, you wait until Monday. It's close enough where Darryl still had Lamar Miller to go, and you say, you know what, let me just pick someone so I don't have this empty space there. He picked up Malcolm Smith, and it worked out well for him. By the way, if you look at his bench, double digits. Even with all these moves that Victor has done or made recently, which, in my opinion, they've kind of weakened the way his team looks. But whatever. That being said, there was no stopping Victor this week, man. And, whatever. Let's just move on to the next matchup.
Yeah, man. By the way, that pick on that pick on Malcolm Smith was impressive. I mean, the pick he had, I loved it.
I liked seeing that Mexico game. That was pretty cool, man. The stadium looked legit. Like, a little bit dusty, but it can still pass off for like an NFL stadium.
They had 76,000 fans in that game.
What do they usually use that for? Is that like a soccer stadium?
Yeah, that's the Estadio Azteca. That's where the Club America soccer team plays for Mexico. 76,000 people.
Well, I only got one correct pick, and it was picking Victor this week. So, in the matchup of Pimpin' Breezy versus Picture Me Rowland, I didn't do so great. And my 5-game win streak finally ended at the hands of Picture Me Rowland. Packy, give me some info, man. Why did I lose this week?
I went against you. I remember it was pretty hard to go up against you, but like I said, I didn't like the Drew Brees matchup at Carolina. He only gave you 15 points, which is a huge underperformance from a guy like Drew Brees. Jeremy Hill versus Buffalo, I remember that was a coin toss. He didn't give you the production that, you probably would have needed. By the way, he's going to be a solid back moving forward without Giovanni Bernard. Ryan Matthews was also one of the running backs that got hurt. It's hard. I know the feeling when you lose a player mid-game and you're stuck with whatever he got, which was only 3 points. So I'd say that right there was the main reason. Antonio Brown versus Cleveland got 11 points, which isn't bad. But this is a matchup where you would expect Antonio Brown to give you, somewhere close to 20 or more. And he didn't do that either. So very tough matchup, man.
they really didn't kill Cleveland, the Cleveland Browns, the way we expected. I mean, 24-9, keeping that team without a touchdown, single digits, it's impressive in its own right. But I thought they were going to go for like 45. Man, that offense is way too dynamic to only score 24. But maybe it's the Jamie Collins effect. I don't know.
Something's wrong in the Steelers' offense, and I don't know what it is. But they're not putting up the points they should.
There's also something to be said about, we just didn't need to. I mean, 24-9 is not a score that you're afraid they're going to come and catch up on you. So at some point you just say, whatever, just give the ball to Le'Veon Bell, have him run it out, kill the clock and just win. A win is a win no matter by how many points. You just got to get that W if you're an NFL team. On the other end, though, welcome back Thomas Rawls, man. He ran hard. I didn't have any great big expectations for Tyrod Taylor. And look over here. See, if you check on Le'Veon Bell's score, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Just give him the ball and kind of get out of the way. So they're winning by enough points where it doesn't matter to keep throwing the ball. You're not trying to catch up. You don't need to win by 1 billion points. So give Le'Veon the ball. He carried 28 times. He had 146 yards. He had a touchdown. And moreover, he was just able to kill the clock that way.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's 29 points from Le'Veon Bell, 13 points for Zach Miller before you lost him for the season. Man, if I would have only played you next week, it would have been a thing of beauty. But it was not to be. I didn't have that many points on the bench that would have made a difference had I started someone else. And, I lost Ryan Matthews mid-game. So that is something that I wasn't able to recover from. In the next matchup, we talked about your matchup, the Real City Butterflies, and win is coming.
Yeah, man, I can't believe I went against myself again, and I'm on a 2-game winning streak. What a time to go on my first winning streak of fantasy season, just when we're almost in the closing weeks. So I don't think I have any real chances of making the playoffs, but nonetheless, man, David Johnson, as always, my hero, and finally, the main reason why I won this matchup is because Rashad Jennings finally came through. I didn't have anybody else.
My New York Giants.
Yeah, I didn't have anybody else to put at that running back position that I thought was better than Rashad Jennings, which is sad. But he finally came through. Or should you start anybody else? Yeah, and he came through, and I did not expect him to actually put that amount of points. And another big factor, I have the 2 Dolphin wide receivers, Jarvis Landry and Devontae Parker. They both gave me about 20 combined points in the last 2 minutes of that game. They literally didn't do anything until like the last 2 or 3 minutes of the fourth quarter. So that was a huge difference in my matchup, and that pretty much sealed the deal. Because I didn't get anything from my kicker. I didn't get anything from one of my defensive players. I didn't get anything from 2 of my defensive players, actually. So thank God they came through.
I remember when Ivan hit the ceiling and he said, man, I lost with that one. Those Dolphin plays, that just killed me right there. It was a close matchup, though, 122.4 to 120.2. You won by 2.2 fantasy points. We covered that in the awards section. Matthew Stafford slightly underperformed. Why are you starting Stafford again? Oh, well, Rivers was on by. Okay, never mind. Ezekiel Elliott, he did Ezekiel Elliott things. I think he scored 2 touchdowns, was it? But it wasn't like a whole bunch of yards.
No, it was the opposite. The opposite. He got some decent yards, but he never scored.
Right. So sorry. Oh, man, got to get my crap together. This is stuff I'm drinking. Doug Baldwin looked pretty good. 17 fantasy points. Steve Smith Sr., with his old ass. I'm not going to talk about every single player. It was a tightly contested one, but it ultimately came down to who was going to, who's going to end it better, and the Dolphins really did end it better during those 4 o'clock games.
By the way, that Jarvis Landry touchdown, I swear to God, if any of you guys saw it, he caught the ball, I think it was like a slant or a drag route, and he got tackled probably 8 yards from the end zone, and the offensive line pushed him in against the Rams defense. And I swear to God, they were whispering in somebody's ear, let's do it for Packy. Bring it in for Packy, because they were really pushing, man. That saved my fantasy game.
Uh-huh. All right, then. So despite starting three players from the Cleveland Browns who ultimately were not the game changers. The Amari 2600 did beat Hide the Blunt. At this point, I don't even think Hide the Blunt is trying anymore. I don't know if – no, you didn't have a chance. I'm going to say that flat out. You didn't have a chance to come back. But what's going on with Michael Crabtree, man? They were, like, throwing a whole bunch of balls his way. My man is dropping passes. What the hell? 1 fantasy point? This isn't the Michael Crabtree that had you beating Packy in week 2.
It's funny you mention it, but the main reason was because of the stadium in Mexico. Don't forget it was a soccer field. It's grass, and the only complaint about the field was the footing on the field. If you watch the game, everybody was slipping. And Michael Crabtree was a victim probably to at least 3 slips that caused him to drop some passes. Or, you know, it's not – when you – Michael Crabtree and Amari Cooper, they make a lot of breaks on their routes. Like, all the Raider routes are made out of breaks. Boom, 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 a lot of jukes. And when they make that break, if you're slipping and the ball's coming, it's pretty hard to catch it when you're off balance. So that happened to Michael Crabtree at least 3 times during that game. Overall, he had a great game because he did pull in 2 pass interference calls that put the Raiders in the red zone, but that's no good for fantasy at all. So what I'm trying to say by that though is that what I'm trying to say with that though is that don't expect him to give you 1 point every week. I wouldn't be surprised if he bounces back next week versus Carolina, who has a horrible secondary, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, well, Amari 2600 also had Amari Cooper, which is the counterpart to Michael Crabtree. So far, I haven't seen a week where they're both excellent. It's either one or the other. Mm-hmm. And at your flex, you played Robert Kelly. We went over Robert Kelly's stat line. 3 touchdowns for R. Kelly. And R. Kelly and Amari 2600 peed on whatever the hell Joel's back his name. Hide the Blonde. Yeah, that team. Joel, just, pay at the door, get the hell out, start chillaxing, start getting your fantasy baseball team ready because it's pretty much a wrap for you. All right, so...
By the way, as a Raider fan, I can tell you that I doubt you'll ever see this, at least this year, a week where both Amari Cooper and Crabtree both have a great game. Derek Carr loves playing the matchups. If you are putting the safety over Crabtree, he's going to go with Cooper and vice versa. So it's kind of like if you game plan for one, I'm going to kill you with the other. That's what the Raiders have been doing all season.
I think I just said that, but okay, cool. So Loyal Action Boss, Beware the Dog. Why the hell I decided to play against So Loyal Action Boss, man, I don't know what the hell was happening. I think it was the fact that we made all our picks rapid fire, but Beware the Dog, man, really? What the hell was I thinking there? I said I wouldn't go against So Loyal Action Boss, and I did, and it bit me in the ass. So tell me how wrong I was. Why did it bite me in the ass, Becky?
Wilson, it hurts me to I don't know, Jay, like, I'm serious. I don't know what I was thinking when I dropped Russell Wilson after he had that crazy knee injury. That's why you can't ever get ahead of yourself. The eye test said Russell Wilson was messed up for the entire season. The dude even caught a touchdown pass on a crazy-ass play with a pass from Doug Baldwin, man.
Did you see that?
That was amazing.
That was cool.
Did you see the middle finger that Doug Baldwin gave the offensive coordinator when they called it? Did you see that? When he's coming off the huddle, the receivers break the huddle first. When they're coming off the huddle, Doug Baldwin gave the offensive coordinator the middle finger. Like, why'd you call that play? He really didn't want to do it, and look how it worked. That was impressive, man. But Russell Wilson is the name of the game here for Beware the Dog. Yeah,
he catches his first NFL touchdown.
Yeah, and what a way to catch it. I mean, it was a really nice play. And, some good production from James Starks also, who nobody probably expected since Green Bay has no idea how to run the ball. But 15.6 fantasy points is pretty good. But, by the way, most of it was on catches, not on runs anyways. But fantasy points are fantasy points. So those were pretty much the 2 main reasons why Beware the Dog actually got the victory. Well, I'm thinking he won. Those were the 2 main reasons why he got over 100 points. But he did not win. Yeah, I was almost thinking he won. But, I mean, 'cause I got excited talking about these guys. But, yeah, man, Spencer Ware hasn't given up any points. And Odell Beckham only 6 points. I guess the only bright spots were the ones I mentioned at first.
Derek Carr back. After bye week, Derek Carr gives you 21.6 fantasy points. Terran West, who we thought was an afterthought, they were going to move on to Kenneth Dixon. He came back and he had a respectable game. Not something that's going to, blow you out of the water, but a respectable game. I don't really know this Tajay Sharp person, but in terms of fantasy, he produced. Mike Evans doing Mike Evans things, and Travis Kelce being baby Gronk. And how about James White, who we thought was pretty much done, 15.3 fantasy points. That may have just been, a result of playing against the San Francisco 49ers. But I'm not taking anything away from this matchup. Solo Action Ball scored 138 points. He led the way, had the highest score, and also beat Beware the Dog by slightly under 30 points. Gerald Freeman is suspended? What happened there?
I do not know why that was a suspension, but the Bears are falling apart. They have Cutler's out. Alshon Jeffrey is out.
Wait, Cutler's out of what?
Injured.
Cutler back, bro. What you talking about?
No. They said he won't miss the entire season. He's not playing this week.
He back, bro. He's going to play Sunday.
No, he won't. Alshon Jeffrey's out. Zach Miller's out. Now Gerald Freeman. I see it was a violation of the NFL's policy on performance-enhancing substances. So it looks like him and Alshon Jeffrey were drinking the same Kool-Aid.
And they sweeten it with cocaine. Okay. Brady's Girly Men played this week against the EMCC Brawlers. This was an easy one for me to pick because I said I'm never picking against I'm never picking the EMCC Brawlers again. And even though I picked my rival, I took Brady's Girly Men. What the hell happened to Brady's Girly Men? Isn't this your front runner? Why'd they lose?
He is my front runner, man. But Marvin Jones, Jacksonville's a total mess right now thanks to Blake Bortles. Everybody was starting to blame Allen. Jacksonville's a total mess. We expected Marvin Jones to do better against Jacksonville, and they did not. Matthew Stafford has continued to win, but if you look at Matthew Stafford throughout the weeks, his stats have dropped. I believe he was like the number 2 passer in the NFL a couple of weeks ago, and now he's not even in the top 3. So Marvin Jones only given 2 points. That's a big reason. Willis Snead is kind of a hit or miss, but I don't trust any New Orleans wide receiver on the road, unfortunately, because Drew Brees is simply not the same outside the dome. Drew Brees is the equivalent of a Colorado Rockies hitter in baseball batting in Coors Field. No hate on him. He is great, but obviously his stats are way over the roof when he's in the dome.
Yes and no. I mean, the stats is a fact. Like, I can't dispute that. That's fine. But I actually saw that game. I had nothing else to do last Thursday, and it wasn't a matter of Drew Brees necessarily. The entire team played bad. The offensive line played bad. Mark Ingram got exploded, by the way. Did you see that? Like, he looked like he just got shot. Like that hit that led to the concussion. I was like,
I thought he looked dead.
I don't know if he looked dead or not, but when I saw it, I was like, you know what? I'm not any kind of doctor, but that's what a concussion looks like. And surely but surely, they pulled him out, concussion protocol, the whole 9. Like, if I've ever seen a concussion in my life, that's exactly what it looks like. I don't understand the one with Luke Kuechly that happened in the same game. He got hit in the chest was what I saw. And, when I used to play, I had chest pads, right? Like, my pads would cover here.
Yeah.
He gets it in the chest with a helmet, and then that kind of causes, like, a whiplash and makes him get a concussion as well?
I believe the concussion was from another defensive player hitting him in the back of the head during that play. It's what I heard. I think it was. But obviously concussions are no laughing matter. But what you're telling me about New Orleans not looking good on offense is pretty much them being victims of the damn Thursday night football. 3 days to prepare is not easy. This has been the story all freaking year with Thursday night football. Offenses have looked weird, to not say unstable. They've looked just weird on Thursday night, and unfortunately New Orleans was a victim of that.
I mean, I've seen other games where Drew Brees plays on the road, and at least as far as fantasy goes, he'll still be up there, 18 to 20 fantasy points, which is good. It's respectable. He had 15 this week, so it wasn't like a total loss. I mean, I didn't lose the week because Drew Brees let me down. Even if I would have got, 22 points, which has happened a couple of times, I still wouldn't have won. There were other mitigating factors that led to me losing. But we're not talking about my matchup. I'm sorry. It was just the offense in general for New Orleans was looking bad. Even some of the defense was looking kind of poor.
Another thing on that matchup is credits to the Dolphins for actually containing Todd Gurley in the majority of the day. Todd Gurley only gave him 13 fantasy points, which is not bad, but 20 carries and only 76 yards. It gives some credit to the Miami's offense because they should have relied a lot on Todd Gurley with Jared Goff in his first start, and Miami did a pretty good job kind of containing him. So that also was a factor.
76 yards is his second highest total for this year, rushing yards. And 13 fantasy points is his third highest total. Yeah. So I am not congratulating Miami for shit. That being said, a true Miami fan won this week. EMCC Brawlers relied on 23 fantasy points from Des Bryant, a good game by Jimmy Graham, even making up for the fact that Rob Gronkowski wasn't there. And Graham Gano, 13 fantasy points. Kickers coming through in the clutch.
Yeah, man. How about that DeMarco Murray, bro?
DeMarco Murray has 1,000 rushing yards. He is second only to Ezekiel Elliott this year. He's looking good on that offense, man. It's a good running offense. And if I have to say anything, it's fuck Chip Kelly. Like, you don't know how to use this dude? This is pretty simple. Give him the ball, get the fuck out the way. 1,000 yards.
That's true, man.
Damn, this stuff has me sauced, man. I don't usually swear that much. All right. Where are we? Chef Rogers played against FIBA. I even got this one wrong.
I got this one right.
Chef Rogers has lost 2 in a row. I decided to get creative. I thought it was going to be close enough. Just close enough. Like, it was a push for me, and I was like, well, if Packy took the other side on this, let me take this side, and maybe that's how I make up some ground. But then we get into the game, and Andy Dalton had a season-ending injury. And by Andy Dalton having a season-ending injury, I mean he lost A.J. Green. So that's pretty much to the season for Andy Dalton.
There's not much to talk about this team and Chef Rogers. I'm going to keep it simple. He has Gio Bernard and A.J. Green, and they're both out for the season. He lost them both in the same game. So if you lose 2 of probably your best players on that team besides Rogers, literally, they're your 2 best players after Rogers. You lost them both in the same game. A.J. Green gave you 0 points because of that. So, I mean, there's nothing else to talk about this team, man. I mean, might as well go into FIBA. Why did FIBA win?
Because he scored a lot of points.
Besides Jeff Rogers losing.
Yeah, he scored a lot of points. I think it was like the 3rd or 4th highest score this week. A lot of double-digit scores. Not very high double-digit scores, but double digits nonetheless. Pierre Garçon, of all people, had 20 points. He did romp all over the Green Bay defense, which is getting increasingly worse.
Oh, my God.
Cam Newton, 12 points. Frank Gore, 14. Theo Riddick, all solid, double-digit games. Ted Ginn salvages day with the touchdown catch, but other than that, he didn't do a whole hell of a lot. 3 catches, including the bomb that he caught for the touchdown. Without that catch, the bomb and the touchdown, he probably would have had like 3 fantasy points. I still would have won, but it is what it is. Are we ready to talk about Week 12?
All right, man. We got 20 minutes to preview Week 12. Might as well get right to it, right?
I want to actually go through these quickly like we did last week. I thought that was pretty fun, just kind of breezing through them. Now, that being said, there's a couple of things I want to talk about. First of all, bye weeks are done. So Week 12, everyone has their full teams. No more talking about you're going to be shorthanded by the bye weeks. Yeah, go ahead.
The Browns have a bye week, Week 13, I think it is. Or is it Browns and Titans? Both of them.
What?
Yeah, that's the only bye week left. NFL hates them. Why would you get a bye week on Week 13? It's amazing.
How the hell did that happen? All right, whatever. So no bye weeks this week, but bye weeks when we're in the last week of our regular season. So we just talked about EMCC Brawlers and DeMarco Murray. You won't have him for the last week, the one you're trying to win to get into the playoffs. So go figure. It sucks for him. So no bye weeks this week. 3 football games on Thursday. So a lot of matches will be decided probably by the time we hit Friday morning. Either because you didn't score enough to make any lasting impact, or because you scored a whole bunch and you're thinking you're probably going to run away with it. We just talked about A.J. Green, how he scored 0 points for Chef Rogers. I'll have you know that a trade was completed, even though it was accepted on Thursday, because some of those players were involved in the Thursday night matchup, or maybe they weren't, but just because there was a Thursday night matchup, the trade wasn't really processed until now. So A.J. Green actually ended up on a Victor's team, whatever he calls that, and he's not going to be available for you for the next 2 weeks. So really good pickup there from Chef Rogers. Is going to have T.Y. Hilton precisely on the week that I have to play him. Ain't this some bullshit? All right, so week 12, the first matchup we want to cover is Great Rolls of Fire versus FIBA. Both teams are 6-5.
Yeah,
Speaking, Packy, what's happening in this matchup?
And right away, I'm going to tell you, my pick is going to be Great Rolls of Fire, and that's the team I'm going to be talking about real quick. I love the fact you got Le'Veon Bell versus Indianapolis, who won't have Andrew Luck, so they probably won't be on the field much, meaning the Steelers should dominate the time of possession. More runs for Le'Veon Bell. I like Tyrod Taylor versus Jacksonville, who's also pretty bad. I like Thomas Rawls being the only healthy running back on the Seahawks. Go look at Christian Michael, man. I bet he's laughing now because they lost Pope and they lost what's his name? The Pro-Size guy.
Pro-Size.
Yeah, so they got Thomas Rawls versus a weak Tampa Bay defense. Just with those 3 players should be enough for Great Rawls to make a difference in this matchup. But if you want to keep going more, Mike Wallace should go up against Cincinnati, who's looked pretty beatable now. So I really like and Kelvin Benjamin versus Oakland. Oakland's defense, we all know it's not that great. So some really good matchups on that side, man.
If you want my advice, don't count on Kelvin Benjamin. All right. What's FIBA showing me this week? Well, we know he's going to start Cam against Oakland. We know he's going to start Greg Olsen against Oakland. Expect great games for both of them. Frank Gore against Pitt on Thursday. You're saying that they may not be on the field as much, but they may actually have to run a lot more with Frank Gore. Theo Riddick against Minnesota. I don't like this matchup. Larry Fitzgerald is an exploitable matchup against Atlanta, but you really never know. Atlanta's playing really good as of late. And Jordan Matthews, if he doesn't drop a few balls, he could have a very good game against Green Bay. That being said, you know what? I'm going to go for broke, and I'm going to go with FIBA. Just to point out, what is it called now? Great Rolls of Fire is on a 3-game win streak. FU Ben Affleck is on a 2-game win streak, and both teams are 6-5. So this is the game to create some separation.
Should be a fun matchup. Should be a fun matchup to watch, man.
And not only that, it's a throwback to last year's rivalry week and a few years in the past as well. Dago and Gary have some bad blood that they need to sort out in this matchup.
No doubt.
All right. So after the trade, Victor's team is now called Landon Calling. Landon Collins actually made his what's the word I'm looking for here? He kept his average of getting an interception in every game by getting one against the Chicago Bears. Tell me more about Landon Calling and why they're going to win this week.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to win. I got them as my pick. They're 8-3 over Hyde the Blunt, who has been horrible with 3-8. Dak Prescott versus Washington. That should be a great matchup tomorrow on Thursday. Like I said, I'm still waiting for Dallas to lose, but Dak Prescott, this is a matchup where he can put up some points. He has time, so I'm interested to see what would happen with LaShawn McCoy. I know he's going through some ailments, but Jordan Howard versus Tennessee, they're going to have to run the ball with Jordan Howard. They really don't have much of anything else to do on the Bears side on the offensive side of the ball for the Bears. DeAndre Hopkins could be an interesting match. No A.J. Green anymore, so I'm assuming he's going to go with Julio Jones on that one. So I really like Julio Jones versus Arizona. Although Arizona's defense has been good, Julio Jones is unstoppable. So, again, it's a tough matchup to pick between these two guys. Hyde Blunt has more injuries than Landon Collins. I'm going with Landon Collins.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going with Landon Collins. This isn't the lineup that I would expect, even though I don't think any lineup is actually going to win this week. But you're replacing Andrew Luck with Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan against Arizona. You already mentioned that the defense is pretty good. LeGarrette Blount, that's it for him, really. Like, I don't understand what his role is on this team anymore.
Bellatrix, man.
They've really kind of shied away from him. Against Seattle, he had 3 touchdowns, just kind of punched it in there, even though they lost that game. And last week against the 49ers, 124 yards, no touchdowns, which equaled 12.4 fantasy points. But then again, everybody on that team kind of romped. Without having Gronkowski there, maybe they go back to him in that bruiser role. But I don't even know, man. It's just crazy. It's like luck of the draw with LeGarrette Blount. By the way, this game this week would represent the 4th anniversary of the butt fumble. It's same 2 teams involved, the Jets and the Patriots. Carlos Hyde is whatever against Miami. Michael Crabtree against Carolina. He has a chance, depending whether or not this is the week where they decide to go to the other dude, to Cooper, sorry. And Dante Moncrief is actually a player who you picked up from Landon Collins, trading away DeAndre Hopkins. But it didn't work out for you, apparently, because now you traded him and you have no Andrew Luck to throw the ball to him.
Yeah.
With all that being said, I don't like the way they're using Martellus Bennett, even though Gronkowski isn't there. Defense is not enough to beat this team. I'm going with Landon Collins.
No doubt, man.
All right, in the next matchup, that'll be my own personal matchup, is Pimpin' and Breezy versus Chef Roger in charge. I think I said that. Oh, in command, sorry. I said that in my worst French accent possible. All right, so Chef Rogers is currently on a 2-game losing streak. Pimpin' and Breezy lost 1 after having won 5 in a row. And now we're both at 5 and 6. Who's going to win this matchup, Paggy?
Good news, man. I picked you for this matchup, Pimpin' and Breezy. And
Boom.
Main reason is Aaron Rodgers, I think, is going to struggle big time versus Philadelphia's interior pass rush. He's had trouble with pass protection. That O-line in Green Bay has had a lot of problems and injuries. And Philadelphia's interior pass rush is legit. I think Rodgers is going to struggle with that, so he should have a tough day. Mark Ingram is hurt. Wendell Smallwood is Wendell Smallwood, so he is a small-time running back. I know there's a lot of injuries in Philadelphia, but I don't expect anything big coming from this guy. Maybe he'll shut me up, but I don't expect it.
Well, Wendell Smallwood is getting the opportunity, if nothing else, and Mark Ingram is being stubborn. He says he's going to play, but I wouldn't count on him to the point where I put him in your starting lineup.
Exactly. And Smallwood, I just think he lacks the talent. I don't care if he has the opportunities. And you have T.Y. Hilton, who has been a star in fantasy, but it's Scott Tolzien that's going to be throwing. Scott Tolzien has no arm. T.Y. Hilton is a deep threat guy over everything. So I don't think Chef Rogers is going to put up enough points to beat Pimpin' and Breezy on this one.
I'm going to beat the hell out of him with his own tool. I'm taking Drew Brees to kick his ass. Right. Jeremy Hill is now the only focal point of the running game in Cincinnati. Matt Forte is back. He was dearly missed last week. Antonio Brown, man, you need to bounce back. I need to get 20 from him. It won't matter how much I win by. I'm still going to win, but big game from Antonio Brown. I expect a solid or decent game from Terrell Pryor. I'm thinking anywhere between 10 and 13 points. I don't know what I'm going to do, honestly, with my tight end position. I'm starting Pitta, but I'm not feeling too confident about it. And Tyler Boyd now, not having A.J. Green in the mix, Tyler Boyd is going to get more of the lead role in the offense. So Tyler Boyd has made my starting lineup, although at my flex. Sean Lee, I expected him to drop off at some point, but Sean Lee has been a dependable defensive player. All that being said, pick any one of those reasons, though. That's why I'm winning. Pimpin' and Breezy beats Jeff Rogers this week.
Yeah, Sean Lee's a beast. His problem has been injuries, but when he's healthy, he's a beast.
I don't know. He seems pretty motivated. I guess until they lose a game, he's going to be pretty much in it. EMCC Brawlers are playing Beware the Dog this week. Let's breeze through it. 5-6 for EMCC Brawlers, 4-7 Beware the Dog. EMCC Brawlers trending up, 2 wins in a row, while Beware the Dog has lost 2 in a row. What's going to happen this week?
Wow, man, this one was tough for me to pick. I mean, I got it written down who I'm looking, but I'm looking at the scoreboard, and it's kind of making me change my mind. I'm not going to lie. I originally had Beware of the Dog, but I'm going to switch this right now because you got EMCC Brawlers with 3 Tennessee Titans facing the very, very hurt and undermanned Chicago Bears. And you have Des Bryant, who's clearly back with Dak Prescott. Devontae Adams has pretty much been the second best receiver in the Green Bay offense after Jordy Nelson. And for some reason, Rodgers seems to be looking more for Devontae Adams than Jordy Nelson anyways. It's just Jordy Nelson has had bigger plays. But I really like that lineup. And I like Jimmy Graham also, who has also been very solid. So I'm going to make it official now. I think EMCC Brawlers will reach 500 at the end of this week, man.
I'm also picking EMCC Brawlers for a number of reasons. One of them is I said I wasn't going to pick them anymore, and the more I pick against, the more they win. So I'm going to pick them, and hopefully I'm the kiss of death. This is a team that needs to start losing for me to kind of come up, and I'm thinking I'm going to win this week, so I need to create some separation. On the Beware the Dog side, I honestly don't see enough points being scored for them to actually prevail here. Russell Wilson against Tampa is a favorable matchup. Spencer Ware against Denver, well, you can run on Denver, but Spencer Ware hasn't been the beast that we thought he was. Recently, he's been running kind of flat. Even though he doesn't have to contend with Jamal Charles there, it doesn't look like he's taken on that role that all that tough talk that you gave for him not long ago, all that touting hasn't really paid off. Odell Beckham should have a respectable game, maybe 2 touchdowns, maybe 80 yards and 7 catches against Cleveland, but you can never really count on Odell Beckham. They defend him with so many people that any one of the other players could be the ones to score. Randall Cobb is another dude who you can't really depend on him just because he's not as fast as he used to be. He's not as reliable. He just can't get open. I don't think too highly of Cameron Braid. He might get stifled by Seattle. And another reason I'm picking the EMCC Brawlers is just the sheer cojones, or maybe he just doesn't know how to use a calendar. Omar actually picked Adrian Peterson and put him on the bench. Adrian Peterson is projected to come back midway in December. Come back to practice. I don't know if he's going to come back to actual games. But with that being said, this is a move you make when you think that by mid-December you're still going to be involved in a playoff situation. So I got to admire this guy's balls, man. I'm going with EMCC Brawlers. And give me a pause for that one. I said admire his balls. Whoa.
Yeah, man. Producer. Give him a pause.
All right, Witten is coming. Is playing against 2600. Amari 2600 is tired of all the shit that Witten is coming has been talking about him, and it's time to get his revenge. The 7-4 first overall in the No Ordinary division is going against Witten is coming, who is currently at 4-7. So they have inverse records. Who's winning this week, Packy? You picking yourself again?
I'm on a 2-game win streak, man, and there's no way I can pick Amari 2600 after all the shit that I've talked about that team. I got to go with myself on this one, and I'll give you some valid reasons. I mean, I don't like Blake Bortles at all, but he has been giving at least some fantasy points. But I have David Johnson, Rashad Jennings versus Cleveland. If they pound the ball how the Steelers did versus them, Rashad Jennings should get some good points. I love my wide receiver duo of Jarvis Landry and Devontae Parker versus the San Francisco 49ers secondary. And I'm also very intrigued in a positive way for Tyrell Williams coming off a bye, even though it's against Houston. Houston is coming off a game in Mexico, so I'm sure there's going to be some type of drop in their game coming from that elevation.
Maybe they drank the water.
Yeah, and
depending on revenge.
So I'm really optimistic about my team this week.
Oh man, more of the same with this team. So Donnie decided to bench Carson Palmer. You know, he held on long enough, but he's going to go with Joe Flacco against Cincinnati. Cincinnati is exploitable. Jonathan Stewart is going to play against Oakland. I think Oakland's defense is decent, 20th out of 32 teams, at least in terms of fantasy points allowed to running backs. But he can score on them, but I don't really have a lot of faith in Jonathan Stewart. Devontae Booker against Cincinnati. Sorry, against Kansas City. I'm sorry about that. No, that's a big no for me. So you have a lot of matchups that don't really match up, if you can even say that. So how many? You're only starting 2 Cleveland players this week. They're playing against the New York Giants, who are playing really well, and especially in the pass rush. So don't expect anyone that has to catch passes from Cleveland to have a really good game, except for maybe, Terrell Pryor, who just is a jack of all trades on that team. Amari Cooper, he could blow up, but then again, he might not. He had a good game last week, so don't expect a great one this week. All of those are reasons for me not to pick him, and I'm going to go ahead and pick a witness coming. This is not the game that I want to risk it on.
And to second your comment on Jonathan Stewart, the Raiders' defense has been bad because of all the yards they have allowed, but they have been pretty good in the red zone defending. They don't allow that many touchdowns, so I would probably expect Cam to punch it in over Jonathan Stewart. Push comes to shove in the red zone.
You have some players on the bench. I don't know if you're honestly deciding on whether or not to use these. Matt Jones, Duke Johnson, I don't know. I don't know if they crack my opinion of what should be in a starting lineup, but that's on you. Real City Butterflies is playing against Bradys Girly Men this week.
All right, so these are the 2 teams that I'm really high on, right? So you're like, oh, Packy's a front runner, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'm sticking to my original team that I chose that I liked, which was Bradys Girly Men at 7-4 winning this matchup. I
Packy,
really...
This is the definition of a front runner. So you were high on the Real City Butterflies when they scored almost 200 fantasy points. And as soon as they lost one, you're back to who you were originally.
No, I just want to make sure that I didn't drop off on Bradys Girly Men. I still like Real City Butterflies. But I like Bradys Girly Men. I like their matchups. And overall, on the Real City Butterfly side, I really like Zeke and Jay Ajayi. But after that, Matthew Stafford, I don't expect him to do much versus Minnesota. Yeah, Doug Baldwin has been great, but on the road, if you look at his scoring on the road, it has not been the same. He did have a great game against – yeah, he had a great game against New England, but that was the only good game he's had on the road all year. And that was a primetime game in New England. I don't know. There was just some motivation to it because of the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Hopefully he does well against Tampa Bay. The matchup is relatively favorable. It's just a feeling I have on this one. Tyler Eifert versus Baltimore. Baltimore's defense is the number 1 defense in the NFL right now. I don't expect him to do much. So I'm going to stick with Bradys Girly Men on this one, man.
All right, good. We have some controversy here. I'm actually going with Real City Butterflies this week. The matchups on this side, not even the matchup, just the players themselves, they seem to kind of be cooling off towards the late part of the year. Todd Gurley hasn't been the breakout star that you drafted, even though he's facing up against New Orleans. I think, what was it that I said a few weeks ago? You can pass on New Orleans? No, you can run on New Orleans. Okay. But I still wouldn't expect a whole great big deal out of Todd Gurley. Willie Snead, pick your poison. It might be his day, but not really. Jordy Nelson, he still gives you decent production. Delaney Walker and Antonio Gates starting the 2 tight ends has worked for most weeks, not all. Antonio Gates does not have a very favorable matchup against Houston. Delaney Walker could exploit Chicago. With that being said, I'm going to go with the Real City Butterflies for all of the reasons that you actually mentioned. I do have more faith in Stafford, Zeke, Ajayi, Baldwin, and Tyler Eifert than you do.
Yeah, it's a valid statement. I mean, Real City Butterfly has a better matchups and talents. There's something about Brady's Girly Man this week I like. I like Tom Brady versus the Jets. I like Gurley. I like Willie Snead going back to the Dome, even though it's against the Rams. Drew Brees is unstoppable in the Dome, and I like Delaney Walker at Chicago. I think that's a great matchup. To me, he's still the best receiver on the Tennessee Titans team. I'm not going to say the best player anymore because DeMarco Murray has been impressive, but he is definitely the best receiver on that team.
Well, normally I pick, not normally, but a lot of times I pick based on the matchups. I just think that the talent on this team has kind of, they seem kind of tired to me. Like, they'll give you decent production, but not enough to win, like a more hungry team, the way I see the Real City Butterflies. Like, most players on that team just seem hungry for the win. All right, so let's top it off with So Loyal Action Boss. So Loyal Action Boss is going to play against Thursday Night Stat Correction. This guy's a fucking troll. 8-3, So Loyal Action Boss came back after having lost to Pimpin' A Breezy. They are trying to build back their win streak. They're currently at 8-3, like I said. Thursday Night Stat Correction has lost 3 in a row. He didn't believe me when I said that he was trending downward, and now he's lost 3 in a row. He's pretty much out of contention. I don't think that even if he wins the next 2 weeks, that 6-7 is going to be enough to make the playoffs. That being said, what's going to happen this week?
Who do you got? Who do you got first?
So Loyal, I'm not picking against my cousin anymore. I keep saying this, and then I do it.
All right, so that's cool, man, because I got Thursday Stat Corrections on this one, man.
Get the fuck out of her!
I got Thursday Stat Corrections. That's right, man.
Crazy. Get out of here,
I'm going to back up my recycling brother Daryl on this one. No hate on So Loyal whatsoever. It's just Mike Evans versus Seattle. Emmanuel Sanders versus Kansas City secondary, who has been great. Travis Kelce versus Denver's defense. That's tough because Denver's defense is weak up the middle, but they're pretty good covering. You got James White. He already had a great week last week. That tells me he's not going to do shit this week. Derek Carr versus Carolina. That's a pretty good matchup. But Melvin Gordon versus Houston, that can be tricky. Houston did have pretty good run defense versus the Raiders. And Tevin Coleman, well, I just think Devontae Freeman is going to have a better game, and Devontae Freeman's on the other team.
I feel like I need to clarify something there. They allowed 41.6 fantasy points to the Raiders.
Who?
In rushing. Houston, the Texans. That's not a good week by any stretch.
No.
25th against the run.
No. That's a flawed stat because the Raiders running backs made all their points on pass catches. They had a lot of big pass catching plays, but running the ball,
Melvin Gordon catches passes too.
He does, but he's not going to catch 199 yards passing, which is what the Raiders running backs had overall. That's the fullback and all three running backs together.
Okay. Were you done, or are you still saying something about the solo?
I think I covered everything.
All right. Well, Eli Manning versus Cleveland. This would be one of those 300-yard games for Eli, probably 3 to 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I don't know who the hell is going to catch those interceptions in Cleveland, but he'll figure out a way. He did something in Cincinnati that just drove me insane. Like, just threw a pass 70 yards to the other team just for the sake of throwing it. Like, it's like putting an extra interception in his stat column when it could have just been a punt. Like, what the hell were you doing there? Lamar Miller against San Diego. I've never really been high on Lamar Miller. You know, I thought he was on the verge of winning me over, but he's kind of despite his last game, he's kind of an average running back to me. He's good for anywhere between 8 and 12 points. Devontae Freeman, he's standing on the other side of Tevin Coleman, which is interesting. Against Arizona, I like Arizona's defense. I mean, if you didn't like Tevin Coleman's his role and against that defense, I don't like Devontae Freeman against Arizona either. Jamison Crowder, Rashard Matthews, they're kind of blah for me. Jordan Reed, I don't even know what to think of him. He's getting catches and yards, but hasn't really scored touchdowns. In his last, All season he has 3 touchdowns. Let's put it that way. Played 10 weeks, and he has 3 touchdowns. He's not the 22-point beast that I had last year that I picked up, and I was really excited about starting every week. Golden Tate, he's hit or miss. He's already beat Minnesota once. Could this be a comeback to that? He is playing at home, and I've been told not to bet against Detroit, but I'm taking Matthew Stafford to have a big game, not necessarily Golden Tate. These matchups don't impress me. These players they still haven't won me over. I'm going to go with Action Boss.
Awesome, man.
Melvin Gordon's going to be the difference maker.
We got a couple of different picks. I love it. Should be a good week.
All right. So what else is there to say? Tell everybody where to find us again.
Take us home, man. I'm going to tell them, everybody, and then you take us home for the closing because we are a few seconds past our time. So once again, guys, Podomatic.com is where we have our podcast. On YouTube, Unofficial Commentators channel, subscribe and like any of the videos. Always favorite the podcast. And if you need to reach us by email, unofficialcommentators@gmail.com. So on my side, happy Thanksgiving everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Jay, take us home.
Again, happy Thanksgiving. Got to be thankful for everything we got, for family, for friends, for whatever limited wealth we may have. A special happy birthday to my lady. Her birthday's on Thanksgiving. A big kiss and hug to my daughter Angel, who always has a kick when she sees Daddy on YouTube. Daddy, you're on YouTube. And I picked the episode where I swear the most to shout out my daughter. So go figure, I'm crazy like that. And nothing else to say, man. Happy Thanksgiving. Everyone, good luck in Week 12, and see you Week 13.